You're listening to Music Tectonics.
Welcome back to Music Tectonics, where we go beneath the surface of music and tech, where every night we have dreams of the avatar version of ourselves DJing to a crowd of Ewoks and Wookiees who are upgrading to MV++ so they can fly around and explode animated rainbows in the sky, and where after we have binge-watched every series on Netflix, we buy smart fitness equipment that is all licensed up with music and serving up beats optimized to increase heart rate and muscle mass, and where we're trying to convince our children not to decrease their screen time during the pandemic, but to increase it so that they can become 18-year-old millionaires paying for their parents' early retirement by selling digital merch and special rankings on Roblox. My name's Dmitri. I'm your host. I'm also the CEO and founder of Rock, Paper, Scissors. We're a music tech PR company, and I'm the event director of Music Tectonics, which is coming up in just a few days, October 26th through 28th, online this year. Yes, we had to move online, and I'm excited to bring you this one more episode before the conference with one of our speakers. Super excited to have John Vlassopulos, the head of music at Roblox. John, how are you today?
Yep, doing very well, Dmitri.
Did I say your last name anywhere close?
Absolutely close. We've had in all the years, John V is always mitigates any things after the V, but no, you did very well. Nice to be here.
Well, awesome. Great. Let me just tell folks about you. You're the global head of music at Roblox. You lead the company's initiatives and partnerships with labels, publishers, management companies, artists, brands, and music startups. You're focused on exciting and engaging Roblox's community with music, allowing them to express themselves and connect with their favorite artists and friends in new and unprecedented ways. And prior to Roblox, you spent the last 2 decades working as an executive at companies like Bertelsmann, AT&T Wireless, and Endemol, founding various popular media tech startups and investing in early-stage consumer startups through your fund, A-Force Ventures. You're the perfect speaker for Music Tectonics, John.
I feel I've been preparing for this moment all my career. So
Yes. Well, thanks for spending your entire life getting ready for this panel. When you get on an imaginary pre-pandemic airplane, how do you describe what Roblox is to someone who might be sitting next to you who doesn't know?
Sure, and I can give a kind of during pandemic example. I've been sneaking some airplane trips as well. So yeah, look, I think in the early days when I was in the music business in the 90s, I was pitching artists on getting on the internet, and then during, you mentioned the AT&T days, I was pitching artists and media companies to get on the mobile platform. So one way to sort of explain Roblox is that we're the beginning of this next era, the next big platform, internet to mobile to metaverse. And Roblox is a lead player in that space. We are a platform, not a game, and so we have millions and millions of games on our platform. So as YouTube is to video, we are to gaming, and we engage 150 million of the youth audience around the world every month on the platform, and some of them on a typical UGC platform. Some of them are creators developing the games, and than the majority of the players of the games. And then I think in terms of thinking about games, some people conjure up, Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead and sort of hardcore games. I think when we talk about games, they're really very light, hyper casual, social co-experiences. And some people may not even recognize them as games. You're serving pizza in a pizza restaurant or attending, a high school dance, and you're really just hanging out with your friends. So it's a really hyper social experience. And then age-wise, I have an 8 and 10-year-old who are obsessive on Roblox, and then but our median age, as the platform has been around for 14 years, is really that mid-teen demo. So half of under 16s on the US and UK markets are on the platform every month, spending sort of collectively billions of hours playing and shopping. So the underlying currency, if I'm sitting next to a parent, they usually give me a wink and go, I know you. I pay my kids in pocket money in Robux. It's almost become a de facto currency of choice for kids as they're spending and tricking out their avatars using Robux.
I know this to be true. I have delivered pizzas in Roblox, and I have also built an amusement park there with my 11-year-old son, who also seems to think Robux are the best kind of allowance. And and also he had a game where he was building up an internet startup. Have you seen this one? He had to, like, one day, this is a couple years ago, so he was like probably like 8 or 9 years old, and he's like, I gotta go check my servers. I was like, what are you talking about? And he showed me a Roblox game where he's got a tech startup where he has to like hire people and buy more servers. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, some of the ones that my kids want me to do, like there's a game where you can be sort of an office worker, and you have to go in and have your cup of coffee and turn on the computer, and for them it's obviously a novelty, and they're going like, play along. It's like, I don't want to.
That sounds like work.
That's too much like real life. But yeah, no, it's really tapping. I think in the old days when we were kids, you could disappear outside and ride your bike in the woods and play make believe with your friends and dress up or whatever we all did as teens and kids. And now, all the lives are so monitored and scheduled that imagination time has been nixed or severely limited. So, the ambition of Roblox is really to give a platform for imagination, play, and connecting with your friends, locally, but also making friends. They have friends that they get on with who they've never met. And during COVID particularly, it's been great as they've been away from school.
Right.
They spend their time connecting with their mates and hanging out. So it's really sort of a hangout platform where there is games or things to do. I think having that connection between each other, though, as opposed to in the old days meeting at the mall after school, they're sort of meeting in Adopt Me or Royal High or whatever the fun game is that they're all playing that week.
Yeah. And it's interesting the way you described it too, that it's not just a game, that it's a platform, that it's this moment that kind of ties to a future that's coming pretty fast, in the sense, people know what the App Store is for iOS, for example, and that there's these people developing apps on the App Store. Everyone kind of knows that. That's part of common knowledge now. But the fact that you're a platform like Roblox has a whole other piece that's I wouldn't call it crowdsourced necessarily, but there are lots of people who are building those games. Tell us about the developer community that's part of the Roblox story.
Yeah, no, look, I think we are a UGC platform, and that was the kind of nod to, as YouTube is to video, we are to gaming. Mm-hmm. So it is a powered by the community platform, and our job is to make the platform safe and allow the developers amazing tools and developers meaning the game creators amazing tools to create amazing games, and to help them monetize and hopefully be able to make a living. So we already have thousands of developers making a living on the platform, and the numbers are kind of growing all the time. So yeah, it's we have developer relations group that works with a lot of the time kids who came to the platform excuse me early, and then like you and your son, they maybe get into being going from players to being builders. And the magic of Roblox is you build once on the platform, and then it's immediately available on iOS and Android and web and Xbox and VR and AR. So it's kind of build once and magically works everywhere. And you can be, I suppose my kids did their first lemonade stand in the new house a few weeks ago, and they're little entrepreneurial, so they can be little entrepreneurs and build out whatever's in their mind and imagination with friends that are, again, either locally situated or around the world. So for me, it's magic because it's this creative platform. I think in a lot of my career before, I did a lot around interactive media and participatory media. And I think that this younger generation is not happy to just sit back and consume. They want to participate and build. And if they're not, it's not fun. So seeing the kids come together around the world and kind of automatically form, studios, which we would all scratch our heads about, and forming LLCs, and it's all, the sort of grown-up way of doing it. They just sort of organically connect, and you've got a designer in London and an engineer in Hong Kong and some other creatives and game designers in LA, and they all form as a studio and start building games and iterating, and it's kind of magical to watch, again, what they decide to build and what becomes popular on the platform.
Yeah, interesting. So where did Roblox first start to see music emerge within the user community?
So, I think Roblox for a long time it's really around self-expression. So the platform historically has had music where the kids could use kind of production music in games. So that was like the first way that music was appearing on the platform. But in terms of a concerted effort, it's really kind of this year and then moving into next year. And the realization was, if we all remember back to our teenage years, that was when we formed our key kind of music fandom, if you like, with our favorite artists, and we would express ourselves changing up our hair and maybe piercings and t-shirts and whatever. Right, that was really, and who we hung out with. Were we the punk kids or the EDM kids or whatever it is? So I think not having that, where the platform was so youth oriented, as a key way for the kids to express themselves was like a missing piece. Like imagining a real life world without music is not as fun. So yeah, I think we've been dialing it up. We did some general kind of brand partnerships last year, and then this year we've been getting more focused on music, and then kind of setting things up for next year. And the goals are, the baseline goal is to present an experience that is kind of equally as good as the real world, where we're porting. So if you take concerts for a second as an example, so if you have in the real world a real life stage, real life artist, and real life audience, we would have a virtual stage and a virtual artist and a virtual audience. So that would be a 1-for-1. But what we feel that the metaverse and Roblox can deliver is really going beyond that to deliver an experience that's actually better than the real world. So many fans, millions of fans, just go to concerts and have never and will never, experience a meet and greet with an artist, a VIP experience, backstage, all these sort of amazing being brought on stage, right? So all these kind of tentpole moments that kids would talk about. Dmitri, maybe you got brought on stage by Bon Jovi and his 1992 tour that you always tell the story when you get together with your mates. And
wait, how did you know?
Well, there you go. So I think it's giving the kids these magic moments, and allowing artists to connect in these sort of new and magical ways with their fans, and allowing fan and fan interactions that are new, and hopefully for the industry creating a whole bunch of new diverse revenue streams, where for the last number of years it's been fairly locked around kind of streaming revenue, with a few players. So we want to kind of open up the different opportunities for the ecosystem.
So before we get into some specific examples like that, I first noticed there was a game called Splash that looked like a music making game that was, I guess, just emerged organically on the platform. Is that right?
Yeah. So I think, again, going back to your son and discovering games about all kinds of things or experiences, it is an open platform. And I think the guys from Splash are a existing studio. So, working with them, they came out with their game. So Popgun is the studio, Splash is the game. And it's kind of reminiscent of Turntable FM for anyone who remembers that, where it was hot and cool for a minute and then went away. So that notion of being able to DJ your own experience, and the Splash guys kind of attacked it by not having licensed music, but by having kind of computer generated music where the kids could have the experience and they could get going, and they're now moving into sort of new areas. So yeah, I think either also looking at new. There's another one, Club Vault, which comes out of one of the vehicle sims. So there's a bunch of stuff. Monster Cat, who we partner with, have some plans. So really, the way Roblox is different to other platforms, we want to be the Firestarter to kind of show what's possible on the platform, and then we would love to have and welcome again artists and labels and venue owners and festival owners and managers, anyone who wants to kind of come and build and express themselves and build their kind of brand extension in the metaverse. We want to shepherd and support that.
So you kind of described a kind of a future that you're leaning into as the head of music there. What are some of the coolest things that have happened recently in that line with music on Roblox?
Yeah, no, look, I mean, during COVID, as I was just sort of getting into the role, obviously the live music industry has been somewhat kiboshed, unfortunately. So that's impacted where artists are are earning up to 80%, 85% of their income from touring. So we had an opportunity in the spring. One of my old boss, originally from BMG, was the chairman of a great group that was putting together an event with Lady Gaga, this One World event. So we had an opportunity to be a kind of broadcast partner and host the event on Roblox. So we jumped into that pretty quickly and felt it was for a great cause. And Global Citizen is, looking to end world hunger, so it kind of fit with our brand objectives as a platform. And that was, the first kind of toe in the water, and the kids loved it. We had close to 19 million or more than 19 million items were downloaded, and 4 million people attended, and so that was fun, and the kids enjoyed it. And again,
and John, I have to say that my 11-year-old told me about that, and that's the first time that he had any kind of national or international global scale music experience where he was kind of excited. He was like, I want to see what this is. And so it really spoke to the reach that Roblox has with an age group that few others have as it relates to music. So just my own anecdotal experience was that was a benchmark.
Yeah, and exactly. And I think, we're very careful about what partners we work with. And again, Global Citizen was a fantastic organization, and the artists participating, we're all top global superstars. So it fit well. And I think, it exposed a lot of the artists on there weren't just the typical big, Western pop stars. There was a bunch of international pop stars on there as well. So yeah, with the audience of 150 million, we want to make sure that we're able to expose. We have a global audience that's multicultural, so we wanted to expose them to great, great experiences and culture through music on the platform. So yeah, so that was the first toe in the water, and then recently we did. So the notion of again, like when we're on the internet, the notion of media on the internet was fairly tangible because people had a device, which was a laptop or a desktop. And then with the mobile era, again with mobile media, we all had phones. So trying to imagine what media would be like in mobile, you presumed it would be something appearing on your phone. Where the metaverse has slightly more of a challenge to communicate that to partners and consumers is there's no real metaverse device. So it's not just a bunch of companies hit it in the beginning. It's not just a VR thing with a headset. It's kind of this separate whole immersive platform. So we're working hard to kind of demystify what it means to work with Roblox and build a presence on Roblox. So that the launch party program, which we spearheaded with Warner and APG and Ava using the program for their launch party for a new record, was the beginnings of that. So the hope is that we offered code up to the partner for them to use, kind of open source, that we actually use for the One World event to make it easier for the partner to build something quickly and not get too bogged down on all the coding and tech side. So they were able to quickly customize an experience and make it personal to Ava and her album, Heaven and Hell. So it was a very Roblox now look and feel, and it was put together pretty quickly. So the hope is, as we all know in the industry, and I'm sure your listeners know, Friday is an important day with hitting new music, hitting DSPs on Thursday at midnight, and everything then hopefully hitting the streaming services on Friday, getting charting position over the weekend for Tuesday. That kind of defines the success or failure of an album and new music. But most, if not everyone who doesn't work in the industry doesn't understand how important Fridays are. So, we have an ambition of bringing sort of the notion of Music Fridays to bear, where hopefully, now we're getting more interest. Ava was, I think a pretty successful, again, first toe in the water with over 1 million, 1.1 million, I think it was, plus unique players for Ava. And so, we hope that now we have much more interest now from other labels and artists to do more of those launch parties. So hopefully we can get, for the kids, for your son and my kids, every Friday they come home from school and they can check out a bunch of launch parties from a bunch of different artists and kind of party hop So
nice.
it's great for the artists because they're getting exposure to the 150 million kids. There's merch, so there's a commercial opportunity, and the kids just get exposed to great music that they can listen to and discover, and then maybe go off and stream on Spotify or Apple or wherever they listen to their music.
John, what does the experience of the Ava Max thing look like from a user perspective? What were they doing when they came to this kind of meetup?
Yeah, it was. So think of it, and it was kind of the notion of working in the industry of a record release party, showcase type of experience. So we wanted to have something intimate, and again, this is not dictated by us. It was sort of advised by us and then picked up by the artist and management and label. But the general experience was riffing off the space again, because the core code was the One World space that was being morphed. So there was a bunch of things for the kids to jump around and explore in the space, which was heaven and then hell. There was a merch area where they could purchase merch. There was games where they could unlock, and quests where they could unlock merch, related to Ava. And then she kind of appeared, as you would see in an artist showcase, and talked intimately about, welcoming directly all the fans to her first launch party, and then kind of talked about her inspiration for the record and how it was like recording during COVID, and then played a couple of, unique tracks for the fans in an acoustic style, and then, sort of joined the party as her little avatar version of herself and danced around a bit with the kids, and then that was it. So it's not meant to be something that goes on for days and days. It's meant to be an event. I think we learned a lot from it, and artist was happy, label was happy, and want to do more. So the current social channels are very 2D. The kids are scrolling quickly. It's hard to get attention. So for half an hour or 45 minutes, the kids were consumed with Ava. It was Ava in the background, Ava on screen. All their friends were there.
She was performing on a screen that was up high in the sky or something, right? And
exactly. Yeah.
So it's kind of like watching the video while you're playing. Your avatar is like the audience, but on a playground almost. And then she's performing on a screen, and then she comes out as an avatar as well and interacts with kids.
Yeah, and this was super lo-fi on the avatar. But yes, if you watch One World with your son, it was a similar, again, because it was the underlying code. So, I think there's a place for video in on Roblox. I think we're definitely going to experiment with that notion of what. So I think there's been some confusion in terms of press where lots of things have been labeled a virtual concert, but from our perspective, a virtual concert needs to have a virtual artist, a virtual stage, and a virtual audience to really be a virtual concert. Otherwise, it's screenings or video in the metaverse, but not really a full virtual concert. So we want to experiment with all different forms and work out what the kids like and what's good for the artist. The other thing that we've dipped our toe in is bringing new music to the developers of the games to use. So we did a deal with Monster Cat, this great Canadian label, who are already quite active in the gaming space and known by our audience, and presented a bunch of tracks for the kids to use in their games, and the kids loved it. I think Monster Cat enjoyed it, and they're getting promo to, again, 150 million kids, which is good for their business. So we're planning more of those type deals in 2021. So yeah, that's a little bit of a...
So in this case, with a deal with Monster Cat, are you talking about the developer community can use the music in their games, or the actual end user who's playing games in Roblox is somehow interacting with the music?
So both, right? So it's mainly for the developers when they're building the games to use. Mm-hmm. So, and the theory is better music in games is a better game, which is more fun to play, which would keep the kids, happier for longer on the platform. But the knock-on effect is, if you are in a game with Monster Cat music, you would then, as a player, also obviously hear the music in the game.
Got it. Yeah. So let's say it's a year or two from today, and you've had another year or two to work on this with the music community. What other experiences are you expecting to emerge in Roblox? What would this next level look like?
Yeah, look, I think, going back to that Firestarter kind of benchmarking. So for 2021, we're hoping that the seeds that we've planted with launch parties, and we didn't talk about merch, but we'll be introducing kind of premium merch for the music industry to sell to the community, with music for developers, with full virtual concerts. So kind of 2021 is launching and establishing these different business lines, and the hope would be that we go from, if it's 1 or 2 launch parties a week, to to 10 to 20 to 50, right, as they become part of the music kind of marketing ecosystem. And if you are a musician and you have merch and you have a brand, then hopefully we can invite you to the platform to reach an audience and have an extra revenue stream. If you're looking for promotion and distribution, we can get your music to be used by the developers. So 2021 is really a kind of a land and expand, where we'll be doing a little bit more guidance and hand holding from the Roblox side. And then the hope is, once people understand it's like, I want to do one of those, and they understand kind of what it takes, then going into 2022, there'll be even more creativity of having people surprise us with more of the same, and kind of taking it in new directions. And then you mentioned Splash, and we mentioned there are a bunch of new music games that we know are coming. So we'd love to see I'm getting the name, Amanotes, the popular mobile format. There's a bunch of sort of popular music games off platform, that we'd love to invite on platform, and have a bunch of new music kind of gaming experiences, music creation experiences on the startup side. And then, beyond that, I think there's no reason right now. A lot of the kids are listening to music while they play. So gaming or hanging out with their friends is the primary experience, and listening to music is the background experience. So there's no reason, I think, in the years to come, that we can't bring that background experience more into the foreground. So I think there's a whole bunch, but we'd like to have the music industry and the kids on the platform see music being synonymous with the platform, and for us to be an essential part of the music industry ecosystem, for promotion, for new revenue, for reaching global audiences, and really for creativity and engaging with their fans in kind of new and magical ways.
Yeah, that makes sense. We talked about kind of the age range there. What else is there anything else that maybe artist teams are who are listening are thinking about, as this is a potential music audience? What's unique about this audience?
Yeah, look, I think, I'm also thinking about, so a lot of the kids will browse things in the catalog to purchase, to customize their avatars. And at the moment, that experience is silent. So that, in theory, we have tens of millions of kids on a daily basis active on the platform. So that there are promotional opportunities where Roblox could help break new songs and new artists on the platform from listening in the different areas on the platform. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things that can be done working with artists. But I think the key thing to remember is it's not it's not a kids. I think kids is misunderstood, but it can be used in different ways. So kids, we're not a very young. It's not like Nickelodeon. So we're really a youth platform. So it should dovetail nicely if you're thinking about a new release. We're generally top 40. We're radio. We're like mid-teen, moving into late teen. The fastest growing demo is sort of a 17 plus demo. So Roblox is really aging up, and I think that we've got massive tonnage. So if you're looking to get exposure for a new release, you're reaching not only a US audience or North America audience, but you have the ability to light things up internationally. And we'd love to expose, because our audience is very, very multicultural. We'd love to work with artists from different geographies, and the kids are really music blind, right? They don't necessarily care the language or the origin. If it's good and fun, they'll talk about it and engage with it.
Got it. So let's move a little bit into your role a little more deeply. What's your day-to-day look like?
So I think the day-to-day at the moment is doing a bunch of jobs ahead of hiring out the team. So some of it at the moment is I'm trying to take a beat to reach out to people and interview people for some open roles. So there's a little bit of that every day. And then across all those different areas, we have projects that are kind of imminently coming out. So it's kind of project planning and and securing deals with whatever parties are necessary for those projects to come to life. And then it's teeing up the new pipeline for opportunities. So we want to build relationships with brands to bring them to the platform. So again, the reference of websites to the internet, apps to mobile, so kind of virtual worlds to Roblox. But in 2021, we want to have, let's say, a major music artist or artists, major maybe festival venue owners kind of set up their presence. So it's kind of missionary work, explaining what can be done, and then getting into teeing up. This is the right opportunity to kind of get behind and support for 2021. And then the rest of it is kind of internal as an organization, just keeping everyone aware internally of what the opportunities are and what's needed on the product and engineering side to bring these ideas to life, because we have a quarter by quarter kind of engineering roadmap. So we need to, which is why it's always good to hear, I'm sure, from your audience, and looking forward to the event, so we can kind of get things on the roadmap that we may not have now, but then maybe comes out second half of next year or whatever. So it's prioritizing things that we need to build to be ready to service the community.
Yeah, so you're speaking at the conference, like you mentioned, on October 26th through 28th, and we have a mix of labels, managers, music tech startups that will be there. And I think you've kind of already made the case for the labels and managers that this is a unique audience, an engaged audience, a way to connect in sort of a more deep, interactive way than just putting your music on a streaming service. Did I leave anything out in terms of the pitch to the labels and managers?
Yeah, look, I think the main thing again that we're trying to communicate is, we why wouldn't you be or want to be in front of this audience? But then presumably the answer is, well, obviously I would, and then the question is, well, how do I do it? So yeah, I think as much as possible we're trying to have these programs where try a launch party. It's pretty inexpensive. We have the code, you can experiment. So it's really again at the beginning of the mobile and beginning of the internet era. It's a fantastic time to experiment. We're here to kind of help and advise, and we're trying to get it to the same level where you pop on a social platform and you can fully self-service, but we're moving in that direction. But for now, kind of the music industry is the most, I think, I'm biased, but is the most creative industry and has the most creative people in it, not only on the business side, but obviously artists and managers and producers. So yeah, it's a case of we are ready. There's more of you than there are of us. So package your ideas as do your homework on the platform. We've got a bunch of information on the website. There's a bunch of stuff you can kind of Google. So do your homework, and then as much as you can come and present ideas to me and the team that you feel will make sense. We'd love to listen and bring them to life in 2021 and beyond.
So the other part of our audience are the music tech startups. So you've got these developers, hackers. Some are business minded, some are actual software developers. What's your message to those startups about Roblox?
Yeah, no, look, I think in any new with any new medium coming out, there's a whole ecosystem of agencies and studios and startups, and we're just starting to see that happen. So if you're a new startup, I spent many years in that space, and you're thinking, well, where should I launch? You got mobile, where it's crowded and difficult to kind of spend to get seen, but lucrative if you can get through. And then you've got kind of the metaverse and Roblox, where we've got 150 million plus audience that's global. We have an underlying payment mechanism to charge for things that the kids are already used to. We're not an ads platform, so why wouldn't you want to maybe architect your and we have very little competition, right? So we're just starting to work with professional kind of startups and IP rights holders. So yeah, so I think it's for the brave and bold. It's a fantastic time to start building and potentially even architect your business around being a Roblox startup, right? We certainly have enough people to support an industry. So yeah, again, it's like do your homework. The development side, we have a ton of information. We have a whole developer relations group who can help, and we'd love to see more versions of Splash. And take if you have a popular format that you worked on other platforms, why not extend it to Roblox and see how you can reach a new audience and potentially increase your monetization from what you're doing already.
So speaking of monetization, in addition to your panel at the conference, we've got some panels on some other things I'd like to ask you about. One of them is about what the music industry can learn about monetizing fandom from the gaming world. And you mentioned in the Ava Max example, you mentioned merch. And I'm curious to ask, what are the ways that Roblox users spend money on games and how that can translate to music? Was that digital merch in the Ava Max example where they're customizing their avatars and their skills and things like that?
Yeah, digital merch. So yeah, look, I think there's a bunch that the gaming community can learn from music and vice versa. But the notion of fandom and music is somewhat synonymous, and that passion to connect with the artist. Where pick whoever your favorite artist is, and if you get to hang out in a virtual space on Roblox and hear your favorite artist talking to you directly for a moment in time, and then you can get some gear to trick out cool headphones from the artist or wings or whatever it is, and you get to kind of express yourselves in other areas of the platform with your fandom. I mean, Roblox really is a platform tailor-made for fandom, because other platforms you're not expressing a kind of a physical virtual version of yourself, and on Roblox you are physically seen by your peers, so everything you wear is an expression of who you might be into. And at the moment, again, before releasing and partnering with more IP holders, everything is more generic. So there's my daughter obsesses about finding the exact perfect pink hairstyle, but it's really red backpack, pink hairstyle, and we're just now getting into fandom, where you can get things that you recognize and associate with your the people you're obsessed with your stars that you maybe follow on other platforms, but you're not sure how to connect with them. So yeah, so I think fandom is going to be a huge part of the experience once we start opening up the doors in 2021.
And so labels could be looking at, in addition to a promotional opportunity, a revenue opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's no going back to the AT&T days, like the majority, if not all, of our catalog was mainly branded items. So if you already have a relationship with an artist, a label, a venue, brand, or whatever it happens to be in the real world or the other digital world, and you're not sure how to get digital products, the music industry hasn't really had a digital product line since ringtones and wallpapers of any significance. So yeah, we hope to kind of bring that back again, where instead of my kids quite happily will hit me up, and probably your son as well, for good amounts of money to shop for their virtual version of themselves, and they're never asking to go to the mall to shop for a t-shirt, anything real. So I think for us maybe it's weird to drop $5 $10 on a super cool pair of sneakers for your virtual character, but that's where they're spending their time. That's where their friends are seeing them. So it makes sense to them, and they don't see any difference between physical and digital. So that presents a massive opportunity for fandom to be, grown promotionally, but also commercially.
Well, as we get close to the end of this episode, I would like to ask you about one more topic that's not on your panel, but I'm really curious about your take, that we'll be talking about music tectonics, and that's mixed reality and music experience. I mean, you've mentioned the metaverse. This is a little different take on it, but we've got everything from gaming like Beat Saber or virtual DJing like Tribe XR. Both of those two companies will be on a panel. And then you have something like Wave's partnership with TikTok to present sci-fi like avatars performing full-on concerts. I'm curious, John, your perspective, has VR made it over the hump of the hardware obstacle? Is this mixed reality thing with VR finally going to get to a place where it can get adopted in a at scale, I guess you could say?
So I think creatively, I'm on the judging committee for the interactive Emmys, and the submissions this year were fantastic creatively, and some of those were VR submissions. I think, again, going back to that point earlier of mobile media had a mobile phone, and internet had a desktop and a PC. I think the metaverse isn't necessarily just tied to a headset.
Mm-hmm.
So and the numbers of adoption, are always going to fall behind, I think, whatever is mass. So yeah, I think as much as people can focus on experiences that attack or reach people across multiple platforms. So the notion of the metaverse for Roblox, you can experience it in VR, AR, web, mobile, Xbox, etc. So it's on all the different platforms, and you're not limited to one. But I think the creativity, Beat Saber is super fun. I have an Oculus at home to test drive and play around with. So yeah, I think great experiences, and for the people using it, super exciting. And we just hope that they can reach those, take those amazing creative ideas and port them and export them to other platforms like Roblox.
Right. Yeah. So this is great. This has been fun. I feel like we finally got our deep dive into Roblox. We'll hear more at the conference in just a few days. What else are you excited to discuss or do at the Music Tectonics conference online?
Yeah, honestly, as I said, we're all with COVID separate now from fellow employees and people in the industry. So I'm just excited to have, although it's still a virtual conference, I think you guys are doing a great job to kind of mix and mingle people. So I'm
yes,
just excited to kind of tap the energy and excitement of a lot of the new startups and artists and producers and really listen as much as I can to what their ideas are and share, and hopefully create some great collabs for 2021.
You're right. We are working really hard to make sure there's a networking component. Between every single panel, there'll be 15 minutes of speed networking where people can do one-to-one video chats with each other. So hopefully you'll have some time to jump into some of those, John. We're also going to do an opening and a closing party in a separate platform called Deggy World, where people can dress up their avatars. So the stuff that we're talking about on this podcast, people can experience in a conference setting. So we've got a virtual world for meetings. So you run around as your avatar and your microphone's on, so you can kind of have spatial audio as you see somebody. Hey, John, I'm over here. Let's sit down at this table and have a chat. And you could sit at tables and have private conversations, and then get up and go look for somebody else. So we're definitely doing that. So it's really cool to be able to talk about how this is going to work in Roblox in the music space, and then for people to come and experience a little bit while they're talking about these things.
Sounds good. Well, now again, appreciate you. Again, putting together the event and doing this podcast. I think it's great to get the message across. I got lured back to a corporate, which I didn't think I would do, just because it's so exciting. It really is the step change that I was there at the internet era, the mobile era. So for the industry and everyone involved to kind of harness the opportunities and numbers we have, and just I'm excited for all the creativity that's going to happen moving forward for the industry. So appreciate you spending some time chatting.
Yeah, thanks so much. Appreciate you being on the podcast.
Okay, thanks. See ya.
And thank you for listening to the Music Tectonics podcast. If you don't have your tickets to the Music Tectonics conference yet, please go over to musictectonics.com/conference. You'll see a full schedule. We've got over 60 speakers and 15 or 20 different presentations on a wide variety of topics. Like I said, there's going to be great opportunities for networking. So not only do you get to hear from thought leaders like John V from Roblox, you'll get to actually meet with individuals, whether it's people who have been speaking or sponsoring the conference or other attendees, music tech startups, record labels, managers, streaming services. Everyone's going to be there. So make sure to get your tickets right away. The conference has an opening party on October 26th, and then the full conference is the 27th and the 28th, and another closing party on the 28th. Those two parties are with the avatar-based platform that I described. Also, hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting service, and I'll see you in a couple days at the conference.
You're listening to Music Tectonics.